So cool. First of all, thank you, Flutter Warsaw team, for inviting me. I mean, you people are already the heroes of mine for like doing a lot of nice work for the Europe and so on and so forth. I had a chance to meet all of you in person. I feel myself really lucky. And yeah, like being part of this meetup online is like quite cool. Unfortunately, I don't have a charismatic voice like Mate. I'm just like a regular dude. But like another thing is, disclaimer, this will not be a deep dive talk. This will be beginner friendly. So if you're a beginner, don't be afraid. If you're intermediate, I'm sure you have something to learn too, but do not come here for super deep dive talk right now. This will be a beginner friendly, nice tooling tool. Okay, let's go. So for those who don't know me, I'm Salih. I'm a Flutter and Dart GDE. I've been developing Flutter apps since like 2.5 years now. And yeah, I work as a full-time Flutter developer at a fintech company that is active in Mexico right now. And like I'm a community junkie. Like I met the also Flutter Warsaw team during one of the events that we have organized here at Berlin. And like I am organizing the Flutter Berlin meetup with two amazing people. And also I have founded a Flutter community in Turkey as well. I'm originally from Turkey. And yeah, I founded this community to just like being able to provide some documentation in my native language. So actually I can help out people to learn Flutter because, you know, not everyone has a chance to learn English. This is a luxury that we need to be aware of. So for those who don't have it, we want to be able to just pass down this information, give the accessibility to the tools and like documentation. Awesome. Why did I decide to talk about tooling? Because like this is not something from a huge influencer. This is from me. Good tools really help us to enhance our quality as engineers in our working environment, right? If we don't have good tools, basically, at the end of the day, we will hit our heads to the wall maybe like 5-6 times a day. And the point is, if you have good tools, you will do it only once or twice. So this is the point. And Flutter team is aware of it. Like they already are a developer-oriented framework team, but they wanted to do better. So what they did is they have worked on some set of rules, set of toolings that they think that made sense to help out the other people with. So what do I mean by tooling, right? Tooling is basically everything that we can use to make our life easier. And one thing that can help us is IDEs. We all know what an IDE is. Like if we are working in software field, basically this is the tool that we use to create software. And one of the most frequent questions that I hear from developers is like, what is the, what IDEs Flutter support? And I just turn into this all of a sudden. I'm like, all IDEs. I mean, obviously it's not the like 100% correct answer, but the cool thing is you can use any tool that you want to actually create Dart code, but officially for the tooling and everything implemented version, what you have is you basically have 3 different tools. Like one of them is VS Code, the other one is Android Studio, and the last one is IntelliJ IDEA. So like I come from an Android background, so for me it was super easy to jump into Android Studio and IntelliJ, and it has a lot of good features for you to actually work on your Flutter application. And in the beginning, actually, like most of the features were coming to IntelliJ first, then it was coming to the VS Code. So I was like, okay, I already know this one, so I will just stick with this. But I know a lot of people who are using VS Code, like Mate. So, so actually, we can see that like it is widely used. Also, like I've seen a lot of web developers, like web developer background with web developer background, people who want to do Flutter, they use VS Code as well. So like whatever you want to use, you have an option to pick, which is a great opportunity to have this freedom, right? So like the answer, if you hear next time someone asks you that which IDEs can you use, you can say that Android Studio, Visual Studio Code, and IntelliJ IDEA. So next thing that I want to talk about is basically the most famous thing that you all know. We can debate about if it's a tool or not, but they consider it as a tool. I consider it as a way of doing something. It is somehow a tool that they give you, which is basically hot reload. For me, it is the most impressive thing that Flutter team did because, like, again, coming from Android background, being able to create something and like seeing your changes in milliseconds is like quite insane. This is a super old GIF, but it will do the trick. It just changes the text, and when you run it in like less than a second, you can see the effect of it directly within the code. And basically, this comes from Dart's just-in-time compilation. So this brings us a chance to actually have a hot reload and hot restart. And this was actually a trendsetter for multi-platform approaches. Like React Native and Xamarin started to do these hot reload and hot restart as well. I think they both have somehow something like this, but not as effective as this. And yeah. But I know that you're not here for listening to hot reload or IDs. I'm here to also talk to you about DevTools. What is DevTools? Basically, DevTools is the project that a part of Flutter team is working on right now. It's basically a web-based tooling kit, so you can actually have deep dive researches in your application. So whatever you have written either in your widget tree or in your Dart code, or maybe even in the Dart ecosystem, they wanted to give you an insight so you will not get lost or feel lost along the way, or what you need to do. So that's why they wanted to work on this DevTools. And this DevTools is, as I said, basically a website that it has a lot of different toolings that we are going to learn today. So brace yourself for multiple information rain. I know it will be a bit too much at some point, but trust me, it will be worth it, especially when you use it in your app, you will see how effective it is. Awesome. Let's do it. So how to install DevTools. So this, having supported IDEs is actually something nice, because this helps us to also use these DevTools out of the box. So if you're using Android Studio and IntelliJ IDEA, whatever, you can pick one of them. There is a button for you to basically open DevTools. And if you don't have it already, it will just install it for you and open it in your browser. Nothing complex. Only thing that you need to do is you need to run your app already. Let's continue. VS Code. As I said, VS Code is not the bad kid in the block anymore. It is also supported. So for using the DevTools, what you need to do is you need to open your command palette. And for the command in your command palette, you just need to write something like the DevTools or something, just keyword, because the search part is working quite nice. Again, it does the same thing. It will download it for you if you don't have it already, and it will open up in the browser. So this way, you can use it. So these two ways are for people who doesn't hate themselves, but there are some people who hate themselves and they want to install it by using command line. There's a way to do it as well. It's totally up to you. No judging. I mean, I already judged you, but I can't make any effect on you. So it's actually, again, quite straightforward. What you need to do is you need to use the terminal commands that you already have from Dart and Flutter itself. And first, if you're going to use pub, you need to say that you want to activate it with the pub keyword. But if you want to use the Flutter's pub approach, you need to use Flutter pub with the same thing. Like you need to write pub global activate DevTools for the direct pub approach. You want to use Flutter, Flutter pub global activate DevTools. This will activate the DevTools for you, download it for you, but it will not run it because, as I said, this command line approach needs every step from you. So please be nice to yourself and use the IDE one, but let's continue. If after you activate it, you can just say pub global run DevTools or Flutter pub global run DevTools. It will run the DevTools for you, and it will say that, okay, now DevTools is running in some URL. You can copy and paste that URL into your browser, and you will be good to go. And yeah, this is how you install it. Now that you install it, you need to understand how it works, right? So once you open up the page, it will say that, okay, you have a website like this, which is showing you a lot of stuff. Now we will go over everything. As you see on the top, there are some multiple tabs, and we will go over those tabs first. And we will start with Flutter Inspector, which is the first tab. For me, Flutter Inspector is the MVP of this like website, this DevTools, because actually whatever you need, like you will be spending most of your time there, which is quite amazing. So in the Flutter Inspector, first button that you will be seeing is, actually, let's go back so you can see it. So as you see, there are like multiple buttons. Let me use my pointer, multiple buttons here. So we will go over these buttons one by one first. So select widget mode is basically you click that button. It's like a toggle. And in the next click that you will be doing in your app, it will select the widget directly for you. And it will also highlight the position of that widget in the widget tree. So at the end, you will be able to see where did you touch and at what level is this widget staying at. So with the widget, select widget mode, what can you do is, for example, you have a huge project that you're not so familiar about, but you need to change something. You can go to that page, click on the select widget mode, and directly check which position it is at, and you can actually direct even yourself to the code for that widget. And one thing about also Flutter Inspector, I don't know about VS Code, but Flutter IntelliJ IDE and Android Studio has directly an Flutter Inspector inside the IDE itself. So you can directly even use it inside there, which is like quite cool. Second thing that we are going to talk about is refresh tree. So as you see here, like Flutter Inspector is creating the widget tree for you in the same moment, in the same state of your application. But what if you change the state? For example, if you have the counter app and you just increase the number by 1. So if you do this, what you need to do is basically you need to refresh the tree. And after you refresh the tree, actually what you can do is you can see the changes directly affecting at which level and how it is affecting you. So you can actually, for example, do some proof of concepts, like once you change the state, you can see that some render objects are not created here again. So you can see that actually Flutter in the behind the scenes is using a lot of elements and so on. Okay, cool. So performance overlay. Performance overlay is basically it's the graphics of how the widgets are rendered in your application. You can see the peak points of it, and you can see how hard or easy it is for your application. So you can see at which point the graphics are a bit more like heavyweight, but this is not the only way to do it. We will see another way which is more effective than this. So this is just for seeing how it is. Flow animations is something like really useful. Like flow animations is basically you want to have, let's assume that you want to have pixel perfect animations, right? Like some transitions and so on, and you want to be sure that it is working properly, because like once you have a super fast animation, you can't be sure that it is working properly. So with this toggle, you can actually slow down your animations and you can just use it. You can see your changes directly. Like paint baselines is basically, it is creating a baseline for each render box that you have within your application. So you can see the baseline for your tweet, and what it can do is simply thinking, you can use it to actually see how your widgets are aligned, if two different render boxes, two different widgets are aligned, and so on and so forth. And you can actually see how appropriate your design is. Cool. Repaint Rainbow is something really cool. So as you know, Flutter recreates some of its widgets in some points, and you need, like, if you want to have a visual representation of which widget has been created more times, you can toggle this, and as the widgets get created more, the widget's border will have a different color, and from the rainbow logic, you can think that it will start from like one spectrum, like a greenish, and it will go up to some, like, I think red or something like this. So it is also something that you can use to have a visual representation for widget recreation. And also, one more time, debug paint. Like, as you see what Flutter Inspector does, and this is the main objective, it is already, it helps you to identify some problems that you might have within your widget trees or widget system, right? So this is also another tool that is helping you to see the borders of each widget that you might have. And it is giving you some helpful directives, like you see here, like this is centered, how we know this, these are like pressed here until the center and so on. And these are the limits of these widget as well. So you can see how complex your widget tree is. How can you, would you use it? Sometimes, for example, you can have different widgets. Some of them are visible, some of them are not. And if you open this up, and you can see that maybe some of your widgets are getting painted super big and some of them are not. So this is also something that is really useful. And I think one of the most annoying things that you know in the Flutter environment is this debug banner that you have on top right. And there's actually a toggle for this. So once you click that, it will be removed. So you can, if it is blocking you from something somehow, you can just get rid of it directly. And last thing that I want to talk about is platform picker. So if you have this specific device, specified device, for example, if you are on Mac OS and if you're on an Android emulator, and if you want to see how your UI behaves in iOS simulator, you don't have to open up an iOS simulator. You can use this drop-down menu, pick the iOS, and it will turn this into the iOS behavior. I think it is not working on Windows because you don't have the iOS tools, but it is working on macOS for sure. Okay, great. Now we are going to talk about something we are going to talk about the second tab, which is timeline. So timeline is something that is helping you to understand how your widgets are created. So for each frame change, you will see something on the screen that you can actually identify how your widget is created. And you can see like a frame rendering chart, frame events chart, and CPU profiler for this, which is like really useful. Right now, it is not doing anything, but when it does something, let me go through it. You can see it here. Like it is giving you a lot of insight information, like how, like, for example, if your widget rendering is happening heavily in GPU, you can see it right here that it is giving you an alert here with like dark background, which was the GPU, also how your UI thread is working and so on and so forth. So you can actually see in each frame change, in each frame creation, you can see how it actually behaves. it is quite useful to identify the performance problems you might have, which is like really important to tackle, because I mean, like we might have like in here in Europe or whatever, wherever you have, mostly people have like really high-end devices. But right now, for example, since like in the last two companies that I work for, we had our main clients from Latin America, and like all the devices that they have is like low-end devices that doesn't support a lot of GPU quality and so on. So you need to keep them in mind as well, because you need to give the best performance to all of your clients. Awesome. Let's keep going. Once you click on one of these things, you can actually see which operations are happening behind the scenes in the framework level as well. Like you can see which function is called, at which point the widget tree has been mounted to the tree or unmounted. You can see all of them. Why is it useful? You can actually see how your widget tree works, because technically you don't have only the widget tree, you have multiple trees in Flutter applications. It's not only the widget trees, you have like element trees and render objects and so on. So these are the things that you can learn actually by taking a look here at which point you do the operations at that level. Okay, let's continue. Memory. Like this is the third tab. Memory is like, basically it is giving you a chance to check out your memory in a current thread. Basically, you can think it like this. So you will see all the actions happening in your thread at the moment, and you can see the object creations, garbage collecting, and you can also have snapshot and reset logic, so you can have a deeper look at the accumulator numbers. So these will help you to identify at which point your Dart code smells or Dart code somehow leaks, you know. You can also record this somehow, and you can see a deeper approach by simply, checking out, like, if you go deeper, you will see some like overview charts or event timelines and snapshot classes and so on and so forth. And actually what it does is at some certain point, it will be giving you some information like this. For example, it is garbage collected, it is used, and so on and so forth. So whatever you need in the higher level, lower level memory management, you can do it actually here. So basically, as you see, for example, I was doing a scooter application. You see, it shows this size of the scooter class and like accumulator, the count, the marker, and everything directly here, so I don't get lost. And let's continue. Am I going to the right direction? The next one, performance. Performance is basically, it will also like, it's not also. The other one, the memory one, was working for the memory observation. But if you want to check out how your Dart application works in the background, not from the memory allocation or memory management point of view, but really how it works with the threads, when the threads are started, how do the JSON encoding, decoding works, and so on and so forth, you can check out the performance tab. This performance tab will show you how long the operations take as well. For example, let's assume that you have millions of lines of like JSON data, and you want to parse it, and it is taking so much time, and you don't know at which point it is stuck in. And you can come here, you can record from one point to the other, like you can just click on the record and see the details. And you can actually check out the total time, for example, here, and actually identify at which level, at which object your application is failing. So this way you will be able to find out what's going on wrong or right in your application. Cool, cool. So another thing here is that DevTools comes with a 100% available and full source level debugger. So basically you can debug your code directly, put some breakpoints, you know, like you do in regular IDEs. You can just like step into the method deeper and see how it goes. So as I said, it goes to the full source level, so you can see not just your code, you can see your libraries and so on. So you can actually have an deeper view in your code as well. And this will help you to like use basically the debugging options, whatever you have within your application. So last but not least, I will be talking about logging. So this logging, I don't think that you will be using this much as long as you're a data nerd. But logging is, so let's put it this way. From the Flutter's SDK side or .vm side, if you compare to Android, if you, for example, in the Android, if you get rid of all the filters, you will see, sorry for my wording, but shitload of unnecessary logs about the operating system itself, actually. And sometimes like they are useful because sometimes you have actually low level problems that you are not aware of, so you can actually find your problem there. But in Flutter, you don't see all of these low level loggings. It's not because they don't have it, they have it, but they don't show us because they like us. So if you go to this tab, you can see like the logging events happening in the .runtime or Flutter themselves, or basically if you have application level logs, you can see them here as well. And you can like filter some of them, you can like categorize them and see which and how they work. And it doesn't just do that, it also shows when the garbage collection works, all the Flutter framework events, and as I said, your logs from your application as well. Cool. I know this was like a lot of information, like you feel like Mr. Data from Star Trek right now, but once you use it, you will actually understand somehow like how it works. And I want to show you something bonus, like the view that you were seeing before was not written with Flutter Web. So we know that Flutter Web is something cool, then everybody is like trying to get take advantage of this situation. So that's what Flutter team is doing right now as well. They are rewriting the DevTools in Flutter. And since they are able to use Flutter with it, they can actually have a direct connection with the application to change even deeper things. So one thing that they showed as an example in the Flutter event that they had, I forget, like it wasn't Flutter Live, but I forget the name of the event, but anyway, is you can actually like directly debug and fix some of your problems within your DevTools, which is helping you to visualize the problem and get ahead of it directly. And like there will be a lot of approaches like this as well, but right now, like even this is something really cool because I'm sure that most of you have this overflow pixel error. Like if you haven't had this so far, this means that you are not a real Flutter developer yet. Like this is one of the things that you need to do to become one. But yeah, this is like this way you can actually tackle it easier. Okay, yeah, that's more or less it from my side. As I said, I don't have neither a charismatic voice nor a deep dive talk, but I hope that it was a useful talk for you. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you.